Right. It's a bit blurred, but if you look just across here, I don't have the flag is, the window, where the flag is, is our national memorial to 838 crew members who have lost their lives since 1824.
Wow.
Look at the names if you get a chance to go across, and you can see the same family names recurring. Hopefully the last one was Penley. The one that sticks out in my memory, because I was involved just after, was the Longhope lifeboat. We lost 8 crew members out of a village of 50 people. Longhope is on the island. And I can still see Kevin and Karen, not related, each 10 years of age, each had lost their dad and their granddad. Yeah. Kevin married Karen, and he's just retired now as our coxswain of our Longhope lifeboat. Both their son and daughter are crew members. 7 bodies were recovered. We didn't recover the 8th. The 7 that were recovered were still trapped inside the lifeboat. It was not a self-righting one because fishermen had this superstition, and they were this newfangled self-righting boat, do we want one? And sadly they got called out. 200-mile-an-hour winds, 100-foot waves.
Oh God.
Yeah. If you've ever been up, particularly on the top part of Scotland from John O'Groats across to Caithness, they have 13 rip tides that whip through that area. Last year when I was up there, I was John O'Groats wanted to go across to Orkneys with my wife because her father was in the Navy and was based there at Scapa Flow for a while. And Alistair, I said, why is it going to take well over an hour? And I said, it's just there, look, you know. Hey, laddie, he said, I wouldn't have been taking your route if there were 7 going through here now. He said there are 3 and you could see it going in through. You go out, you go starboard, then you go ahead, then you go port,
So
then you had to zigzag over. Because I thought, you know, zoom. But it's knowing your the water. That's the important thing. So if you get a chance, as I say, please go and have a look at the names. And as I say, hopefully Penley will be the last spot. Nature can counteract.
Yes, of course.
Okay, we'll move on because it is rather chilly. The hotel side here, or the training of the college, we have 3 floors, 60 rooms, and any members of the public, which I believe you've made use of it, can make use of the building when crew are not using, but crew have priority. Weddings, funerals, christening, parties, you name it, that all helps to bring in income. This section over here where there is the activity facilities, the capsizing pool, navigational training with the simulator, the live engine workshop, which will go down, so I'll talk to you a bit more about that when we're down there, because it's better when you're there and can visualise than me trying to say to you. Right. If you'd like to take a seat.
Mm-hmm.
If you'd like to take a seat, it's a little bit warmer. You can sit down for a minute. Half a brown, 5 bob, 10 bob pound.
Fair enough.
But no popcorn. Now then, I am not a technical person, build a wall, carpentry, basic electronics, yes, but when it comes to computers, I'm hoping, yeah. We'll see the capsizing first and then...
The RNLI Sea Survival Centre was opened in 2005 as part of our continued commitment to volunteer training and development. At 25 metres in length and with a depth of 4 metres, it is one of the largest sea survival pools in the UK. And size really does matter when you're training volunteers for the worst conditions the weather can throw at them. Combining the very best simulation techniques with expert tuition, the Sea Survival Pool was built with 2 main purposes in mind. Firstly, to train our volunteers to deal confidently with a range of life-threatening scenarios in the most realistic conditions we could achieve. And secondly, and perhaps more importantly, to assure that those scenarios are presented in a safe and controlled environment as we can possibly achieve. So what kind of training do we put our volunteers through? As you can imagine, sea survival training comes pretty close to the top of the list. Abandoning ship is always the last resort, but one that our volunteers must know how to handle properly in case of an emergency. Scrambling into their life rafts, the pool's wave machine ensures a confused and chaotic sea state is rapidly achieved. Conditions quickly worsen as the lights go out and high-powered wind machines whip up the waves and blast to the life rafts. Freezing, lashing rain is supplied courtesy of the high-pressure fire hose before thunder, lightning and howling winds engulf the pool, all supplied through our state-of-the-art sound and lighting systems. But the Sea Survival Pool has another critically important part to play in the training of our volunteers.
That's actually going out on the shelves.
Although our boats are designed to safely put to sea in all kinds of weather, sometimes things can go wrong. And if they do, our crews need to know instinctively what the safest course of action should be. Learning what to do in the event of a capsize is a key part of our crew's training here in the pool. Volunteer crews from around the coast of Britain and Ireland spend their first day of training quite literally in at the deep end. With help from the survival pool's gantry crane and capsize straps, crews are thoroughly briefed and with trained instructors learn what to do in the event of a capsize.
Notice the flat pack.
Once capsized, the crews immediately carry out the agreed emergency procedures, including having to swim under the upturned hull to carry out a number of tasks. Eventually, the crews emerge safely from beneath the boat, regroup and activate the boat's self-righting mechanism.
Regulating valve, you don't deflate till you get back to the station, because once you've gone over, you're likely to go again. Where the A-frame comes down, there are 2 CO2 cylinders. It's equivalent to a force 4.
Once back on board and debriefed, the crews repeat the whole process again in the dark to experience the worst case scenario.
Those who physically capsize and then you physically have to then self-right.
Throughout their training at the Sea Survival Centre, our volunteers are issued with a state-of-the-art personal protective equipment designed to keep our crews as safe and warm as possible. A prerequisite, you might think, for training in a pool has only responsibility the ambient air temperature within the building itself.
4 metre drop from the mezzanine deck to
their
the
training is as clean as they are likely to encounter anywhere. 2 huge ozone filters constantly clean the water in the pool, and the extra low level chlorination
but I think he prefers to go to the bar and have a pint
the
there.
R and I are immensely proud of, and one that we're extremely fortunate to have. It fulfills a fundamental role in the training we provide and has at its heart the ethos of the R&I. It enables us to train our crews to save lives at sea.
Yes, we're very fortunate that we have that facility. It's quite possible it is the largest. The second one I know of is up in Aberdeen, which is the survival tank where they have the mock-up slide helicopter if the helicopter ditches the guys that go across to the rigs. The temperature of the water can be anything from 6, normally up to, if you're lucky, about 14. Last year was the first time in the 12 years I've been here it actually reached 22 degrees. It's tap water, not salt water. It does affect the buoyancy, obviously, but as you can imagine, capsizing those vessels all the time would soon start affecting the metal on the vessels. It's minimum of chlorine because it rots, and of course if you swallow any of that, your tummy goes jip. I remember as a child going to the swimming baths and within 20 seconds your eyes were sore, and if you swallowed anything 2 days later, but we can't afford that, and the crew will swallow some of that water. You notice that there was the ribs, there was the B class and the D class. They are built at Cowes. So if any time you ever go over to Cowes, when you come off the ferry, you come down onto the road outside, turn left or port side, next little painted gravel was a few years back, turn right, that road follows parallel with the river, and a mile up the road is our factory where they are made, and you can actually go round and have a tour and see them being made. Halfway round, you'll know you're having a good time because you start getting a bit high on the glue. Now, with the engines on those, if they're a good reliable engine, company's good reliable and they'll give us a good price, we will purchase, but they are taken to Cowes. They are stripped down and we build an aluminium jacket round them. So that also we put in a mercury switch. Hi guys, are you going to be off in the water?
Some to go.
Oh, go on, these folks are desperate to see you go in. What happens is when you saw that the B class that was actually then going along and it reached 90 degrees, the mercury switch immediately cuts the engine off. Because of the protective jacket, it stops the water getting to the electrics and to the fuel. So when that self-rights, I should be able to press the button and the engines will start straight away. With the D class, they're greased in a particular way so that obviously the engine cuts out. What we're trying to do is make sure your mechanic gets in first, so he or she takes the cowling off, and within 3 minutes you get that engine going. 2 weeks later you're still struggling with yours. Yeah? So have a word with them how to do it on your engine. So it's a fantastic facility. You saw the big tanks. They have 3 tons of charcoal in each one of those, plus the eco-cleaning substance, which means we can empty that out into the sea because it's eco-clean. We have a certificate for doing that. We're also, I think, the only private company on the whole of the south coast that has a certificate that when we clean the boats down over here on the yard, that we can, because of the way we cleanse the recycle the water, we can put it back into the harbour here. I don't know if you're aware that Poole Harbour is the second largest natural harbour in the world, and yet the average depth is 1 metre, 8 inches when the tide's out, plus about a third of it is mud flat. But we have a 6 metre channel that is dredged right through to over across to what is called Cobb's Quay. If you go down onto the quay and you look across towards Hamworthy, that is 10 metres there, because we're now getting liners that do round the Britain tour coming in with about 2,000 people. So that is 10 metres there. Ideal training facility. At 4 of our stations we have 4 hovercrafts. For the hovercrafts you need to have a pilot's licence. And we have a hovercraft here for people to do the training on. Griffin, who makes them, used to train our guys. It was costing, so we decided to put some expenditure, and we sent 9 of our guys to be trained at Griffins to be trainers, and that's paid dividends, because now, you know, they can come here and get trained here.
Whereabouts do you have, is there a reason you have a hovercraft in a particular place?
Yes, Morecambe Bay.
Tide goes out.
Yeah, that because of there, the tide goes out at least 3 miles,
Yes, yeah.
and it doesn't always come in the same way.
Yeah.
And we've got 2 on the east coast, on the top of the Wash, and further just round on the Bull, on the Goodwin Sands round that area, and the other one is on the west coast down towards Western Super.
Southampton Sea.
Yeah.
Southampton Sea.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that's where that we covered. Yeah. Incredible crafts, but as I say, you have to have a pilot's license for that. Right. Just trying to think if there's any other questions. What we'll do now is we'll go into the simulator, and my 4 volunteers who kindly volunteered,
Okay.
you'll be held.
Okay.
Who was the second person?
Well, the 3 of us.
Yeah, I think you pushed in. No, you volunteered.
Yeah.
You're going to be the coxswain,
Oh God, no.
navigator, wireless mechanic operator,
Right.
and you get paid.
Right.
Because you can't launch without a mechanic wireless operator.
Right.
But it's not enough to live on.
All right.
Okay. Of the nearly 86,000 folks involved with the RNLI, I think it's just over 2,000 that are actually paid. And even then they would get better pay if they were out in...
Just so I know no one's asking this, you mentioned it, but at a few stations, because they're so isolated, are some of the crews permanent as opposed to volunteer?
Yes, there are some on that. One of them is on the Thames, Teddington Lock, Chiswick, Tower.
Right.
They have to launch within 90 seconds. Coastal under 10 minutes.
Right.
So if you become a crew member, you approach the station, and it is the crew that will decide whether you become a crew member. Yeah? And the thing is what they will do first is you'll do shore work, and they'll see how you progress, and then if you decide, yes, I'd like to become a crew member. But the thing is, our approach is we look at you and we look at your positives, not your negatives. If you go into business and you go for an interview, they spend more time looking at your negatives than your positives. And the thing is I don't need you telling me what my negatives are. I've got to blooming well live with them every day of my life.
Mm.
Point is, my positives, yours, can we work together?
Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
And the 9 times I've been out to Kenya with a different charity, voluntary, they have a saying, Pamoja, Makusa Manisi Manasa Matesi. Together we can achieve the objective.
Mm.
Voluntary, plus we look at the positives. And that is, I think, the combining that makes us so unique in the world, because with that approach.
Yeah.
And people say, yes, it's expensive, organisation, but what price are you prepared to put on a person who's prepared to risk his or her life for a stranger? This January the 1st, we had our bathtub race in the pool, in the nice fundraising. Fantastic. The previous year, I had 3 abusive folks. We're not giving you, you're bringing in immigrants. Yeah. I said to manage 2 of them, have you got a moment? Can I ask you 3 questions? Yeah. Did you have any say in being born? No. Did you have any say where you were born? No. Did you have any say what gender you are? No. Neither did they. So surely, irrespective of nation, creed, tongue, colour, faith or gender, doesn't that make us equal fellow human beings? We have one life on this planet, and aren't we entitled to live that life with dignity, respect, equality and safety?
Could you give the Home Secretary a call and say that to her? Would you mind doing that?
Well, there's 1 or 2 in
yeah, sure.
one
I
or
was
2
just
in
thinking,
Parliament
yeah, sure.
who are there because they were
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And the fact that they had a negative, but please don't get me on to
No,
politics
no,
because
no.
I've been told off that if I get
No,
yeah,
quite right.
yeah,
right.
but I agree with
Hugely
you.
complicated.
But to me, a human life is important. When our crew go to the station, when the pager goes off, let's say it's Lancashire, they arrive, they don't say, oh, hold on a moment, is it a Lancs person we're going out for?
Yeah.
No, it's a human life. But it's not only that person's life, but it's also family and the community that's affected. And it's the same with our crew. If they're not able to come back safe, it's not just their life, but it's also their family and the community they live in. Penlee, 2019, the daughter of the wireless mechanic operator came here with the book that she's co-authored about the Penlee disaster for us to sell in the shop. Her father was the mechanic wireless operator, but 2 weeks before the shout, he was put on the sick leave, and a younger member took on with a family, and he says still today, it should have been me. Yeah, today. At Longhope, they still feel it. Time heals, but what people forget, it leaves a scar. And when you travel on life's journey, that scar gets knocked and you take a dip and you have to pull yourself back up out of it. But it'll never go away, but you just have to get on with life and just hope for the best. Okay, we're going to go into the simulator now, folks. So if you'd like to come through.
Oh, wow.
The vessel that we're in is equivalent to a Class 7, which is our largest vessel. And we're going out of Dover Harbour. Yeah. So
Allegedly.
if I could have the people come in first so you can sit down, and then I can talk to you a little bit while we're in.
You're in charge, Paul.
So Hell, I think that's you.
That's me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Coxswain, person in charge in the middle, please. Navigator on starboard side, and wireless mechanic. We've got the slightly higher. Yeah. Would you like a chair, sir? Would you like a chair?
No.
You're all right. Well, just hold on to there then. I can assure you the room does not move. Right. As I say, this is equivalent to a Class 7. If I can ask you 3 not to touch things, because while this guy's working, you can affect what he's doing.
Right.
It's 5 projectors and 17 computers.
Wow.
We can bring any part of the UK up on the screen, any type of scenario. What we're going to do is come out of Dover Harbour. It's a nice gentle force 1 at the moment. A little bit later on we'll have a call from Solent Coast Guard, which might change things. Also, the equipment that's here now is also figured to be the Shannon. We tend now to use this mainly for navigational training. Theoretical over in the college, then you come over here, start doing practical, then usually by Thursday and Friday you're out on the boats. That way it saves us about £70,000 a year in fuel costs. Well, that's gone up now because of the cost of fuel's gone up. But also you can make mistakes in here in a safe environment. Also, we used to look at your management skills, because the 4 of you in here, the rest of the crew would be looking to. The most important person is you, mate.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We're doomed.
You've got to. Oh no, Mr. Manor, we were not doomed. I didn't see it in my dreams last night. The thing is, you've got to really know your crew.
Right.
And when
I know 2 of them.
when the shout goes up, it doesn't always mean the first there, first come. It depends on what information you've been given by the Coast Guards and the situation, and you're already working in your mind how you're going to go about that rescue. So let's say it might be a medical situation that you're aware of. Out of maybe 15 that's turned up, 2 are nurses. So you're going to pick them over maybe an office worker.
Right.
Not that the office worker isn't capable, because they're all trained up to a almost paramedic level in first aid. But you know you can put those 2 people on board and they'll get on with it. Whereas I might sort of ring up and say, oh, I've got this, but do I do? And you're having to concentrate on keeping the boat safe, yeah? So, or it might be a situation, might be a risk of fire, and you've got 2 part-time firemen. So you use the resources. Mayday goes to the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard take the decision what resources they're going to bring in. So it doesn't always mean we get called in. So let's say you're out on your vessel, quite a big one, and you've got a crew of 8 sailing. Mayday comes over on your radio. Your task then is to notify the Coast Guard that is giving the information, identify yourself, what you're capable of. The Coast Guards might say, right, clear the area, or they might say, can you help? And if you say yes, well, they're going to use you, and you might be a quarter of a mile away from the casualty, or a mile, rather than us that might be 15 or 20 miles away. So you see how they use the resources. Also, as a voluntary organisation, we can say no.
Right.
2008, Force 10 of the south northeast coast, Coast Guard called a lifeboat station out, and we had to say no. There was no way they could get the lifeboat out of the harbour.
Right.
But the station down the coast was able to take. I won't name the station because they are embarrassed, because in the nearly 200 years it's the first time we've ever recorded having to say no.
Right.
And they are still embarrassed that they had to say no.
Mm.
Yet in the past, if it had been the old type of lifeboat, they would have probably dragged it with horses and over into the next bay and launched.
Mm.
But anyway, we as I say, we can say no, but as up till now. But with the RMLI still went out and were able to deal with the situation.
Mm. Mm.
So what we're going to do is come out. This gentleman here is going to steer. I'll be
Right.
next to you.
Right.
The only thing is you don't get the sensation of speed.
Right.
Everything else is as much as accurate as possible.
Right.
But if it says you're doing 25 knots, you are doing it. And if I say do something, you do it straight away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
But it does lull sometimes people into a sense false because it doesn't feel.
Chord.
I think in future, Paul, I shall refer to you as skipper.
Dover Lifeboat, Solent Coast Guard, Dover Coast Guard, storm warning, southeast, force 8, imminent.
Whoa. Oh.
That was imminent.
It's like a film, isn't it?
But it's Britain. What do you expect?
Oh.
We can go up to 13
Wow.
if it's a proper training session.
Whoa.
Yeah. Okay. You've got starboard, so bring around. Yes, we're going to turn around. No, you.
Oh, that way?
Yeah. Bring
Sorry,
around.
yeah.
Now you can see how this is struggling against a force 8.
Yeah.
Now the class 7 only has 1,000 horsepower engines,
Right.
and as a result, anything over 6, force 6,
Yeah.
it's like a 9.8 horsepower car going up Porlock Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we need to do is head a little bit towards the casualty, but this is equivalent to a force 8.
Ooh.
Yeah. Try and head into that's it. Bring it back over. See the 2 buildings on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
scar line?
yeah.
Try and bring it over towards that. Yeah.
Right, got you.
Yeah.
Right.
If you just hold it there for a moment so you can take a photo.
God, I
Yeah.
can see where if you get very on, you get
Yeah.
very.
Yeah. Always keep looking ahead of yourself. Don't look down. Always take steady, steep breaths.
Yeah.
That way you can avoid. I'll do that
Yeah,
while you,
yeah.
if you like.
Yeah,
I'll carry
please,
on.
yeah. Come on. You do that while I'm
Yeah.
doing this. I can see when crews coming in, if you're not used to being in the boat, you can get very on. It's very. I can understand why people get, because I heard in the past when they've had the cinema, they get really seasick
Yes.
and they don't,
The only thing that affects me is if I smell the diesel. At 17 you can join the crew, at 16 you can join the lifeguards. With the lifeguards you have to have the National Lifeguard certificate, but then we double the training on top of that. So this gives you an idea what like a force 8 is.
So what are we now, force 8?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
We've got a reasonable sea here. The worst is a cauldron, and that's when the waves are coming from all directions. This on the whole is a fairly even, as you can see, so that you can steer.
Yeah.
An old sailor said to me, always watch out for the 5th or the 7th wave. Yeah.
Right, I'll just pause that. That was great. After you.
Cheers.
That's all right.
I see what we're looking at now. Sorry, I've been a bit dim.
Yeah.
been
Oh,
a
you're
bit
getting
dim.
your eyes. Yeah.
Nice.
There you are.
Oh,
That's
wow.
what you were in. Projectors up there, laser projectors, the wall round you, and then the, as I say,
That's
the
amazing. Good. I
yeah.
wouldn't have thought, it's so realistic.
Yeah.
You don't
As I
really
said,
f-
the only thing is you don't get the feel of the speed, though. That's
No,
the
no, but it's so realistic.
And
Wow.
You can reset it for different locations.
Yes, every station, the 238 stations.
Gracious. Fantastic.
We can bring up to 13, snow, ice, you name it, plane crash, multi-bomb thing. If we do a command course in there, that is when you're including the police, the fire, coast guards and military. We do combinations with that. Pool, Lifeboat and Swanage use the Solent ones about once a month. We'll do an exercise out there with the helicopter. That's the only time you take orders. You want a guy lifted off your vessel because it's quicker for the helicopter to get them to the hospital. So the pilot will give you a course and speed. You set it because they'll come up behind you. And they're the ones who've got the guy dangling. So that's the why they give you the instructions. Yeah. Right, we'll go to the pool. I gather you all brought your bathing costume, so.
I hope so.
Yours, Paul.
My head.
Straps. There were straps shooting. Our shoulders.
Thanks.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
That's it, so right, it needs adjusting. Right, you can see the D class here and you can see the B class.
Uh-huh.
D603 and 602 that are on the vessel, that means they are 6 foot 6 inches in length of D601. That was when we were doing feet and inches. Then the B class B802 and the 80, that means that 8.5 metres, and the two numbers after the first indicates what number they are in the fleet. So if you see 17/42, that means it's a class 7, it's 17 metres and it's number 42 in the class 7s. If it's 16, it is the Trent, and that's 16 metres. If it is 15, it is the Tamar, and if it's 13, it's the Shannon. If it's 22, it's still the Mersey class, but it's 22 feet, not 22 metres. So the first number indicates what the length is. And as I say, these are built at Cowes. The problems with the D class is, we call them the Bs and the Ds, the young men's boats or the young people's boats. Because, wow, you know. And of course, if I'm coming out of the harbour and all the ladies are standing on the, yeah, they can't see me in the big one, can they?
No, no.
The trouble is, at 45 you retire from those. Well, they used to, now I think they put it up to 50.
So they changed the age restrictions on the inshore then. So,
But the trouble is, most folks, all right, I'm 17, I've joined that,
yeah.
I'm going to be there. After 4 years, my body can't take it.
No.
None of us know how, but it doesn't stop going on to an all-weather
Or what
boat.
about the LOBs,
But
yeah.
that's the worst because it's a supple and you're on your knees, whereas those you are sitting. But then
Yeah.
again,
I suppose in
there
the
is
D
the
class, you're
pounding.
much more lower down on the Atlantic 85s, aren't you? Because you're a bit more high on the Atlantic
Yeah.
85s.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as I say, you can see the flat packs on the top.
Yeah.
You can see where the A-frame comes down, and at the bottom of each of the A-frame is a CO2 cylinder, and they're stored over in that rack over there. As it's nice and calm and placid here, it's equivalent to a force 4. We've got 4 wind machines, high-powered hose. We've got the tidal section there.
Oh, yeah.
It's equivalent to a 1 metre wave. Within a short time, you've got the backwash as well, complicating that. we can create 5 wave motions.
Right.
The worst condition that anyone goes out in is what they call the cauldron, or like the washing machine, and that's where the waves are from all over, because it's difficult to be able, for the helm, you know, I'm watching that wave and suddenly you hit from the side.
Yeah.
I was told, I think it's about 8 possible capsizings a year, and quite often it's the D class.
Right.
Fantastic facility. It's 1 metre to the water from the side, which means if I'm trying to lift a person out of there onto the all-weather or another boat, that's the distance.
Right.
Also, if you're on your yacht and you fall off, that's you trying to get back onto your, yacht. Now, on the film, you probably saw them in an all-red outfit, a survival suit. We don't have those, but they have to know what it's like to be in one. Again, some of them up in the north are on the rigs.
Right.
We've got a variety of different types, but you've got, when I did it 12 years ago, to jump off here and jump off there, you've got 22 seconds to get in one. And the only way to get to the other end of there is lie on your back and row. Yeah? With the vessels is you need to be underneath. You check your equipment, check everybody's okay, and it's the same with that. Again, when I did it, we actually sat on the boat when the crane tipped us in, but now it's decided that it wasn't probably the best practice, that you're sitting on your seat, you're reaching, you know you're going to reach 90, you go on your side like that, your foot's under a rubber band to stop you, that it wasn't probably the correct way, because you're more likely to be flung out. Therefore, you then assemble at the back of the vessel and you pull out the safety line. Then I have to go underneath because I need to check the equipment is still there and go through the routine. But on the vessel, down at deck level, there are lights. So once that engine is switched on, the lights come on.
All right. Yeah.
So those are on all the time. Then you come out, you tap the side as you saw, you came to the stern because that's the best way to climb back on board, particularly on the big one. And then you then set off and hope for the best. Not so bad if you've got a tailwind, not so good if you've got a side or a bow wind, as you can imagine with the big balloon on. But we came up with that invention. We're always looking, we're trying to look in advance at the type of equipment, what is going to happen. We don't just say, oh, well, we've created this, that's it. Hold on, can we improve on what we've done? Because the life of that volunteer is important.
Of course.
So is that the research team or something?
Yes, we've got a research team. We've got our designers here, also the designers of the vessel. With our Shannon, it took us 7 attempts to get the hull right, because a vessel that is water jet propelled, the hull isn't a standard type. Took us 7 attempts, but thanks to Southampton Oceanic section and the students, which was a good training for them, we were able to get the design of the hull. The Shannon was first built at Lymington, but we could only do 2 a year. Then they decided, because this land over here where we already had a station where we will go to after we've been to the live engine workshop, was we knocked down the old section and rebuilt. 2014 it opened, and there we then were building 6 Shannons a year, which used to take 13 months from laying of keel to actually being out on the water for trials. COVID struck. Now we do 2, but our class 7s need to be upgraded.
Right.
because they've come to the end of their 40-year life. So instead of totally, we got the boats, the composite that we built them at is going to last another 40 years. With the Shannon, we've got 70 years life expectancy with that.
Because I've heard that on the 7, they're going to have a major upgrade
they're
program.
having to upgrade because in probably 12 years' time, at the moment we've got the 7, the Trent, the Tamar and the Shannon. The Mersey is slowly being phased out, replaced by the Shannon. We thought we'd only need to do 40, now we need to do 70.
70.
So in 12 years' time, as far as we can see, hopefully it'll be just the Shannon and the 7.
Right.
That's then going to cut down the cost because you've only got 2 types of vessels to have to deal with. And because now they're going to be standard, there isn't the awkwardness. The 7s were built by other companies, and even if it was the same company, no 2 7s were identical. Let's put an example. I tend to think in feet and inches all my life. I can visualise, can't quite visualise in metres, but 3'6" from the bow with 4 bolts. On the next one, it was 3 foot 10 inches.
Right.
Yeah. Hello, ladies. So you come to think, oh well, I can put this in. Oh heck, there's a bolt in the way. Now they've upgraded so that everything will be, and of course with the Shannon, everything is precise. And we have one of the best training for apprentices in the country. Just before COVID, there was a national competition with about 128 marine apprentices in a competition, and our 2 came top.
Good.
The only trouble is they're so good, other people flinch them. Yeah. Because they can get better money elsewhere. Some have saved.
So I know one day you can bring them down because you'll be totally in the dark in the pool.
You can bring the blinds down, thunder and lightning. A high-powered hose creates the rain. You're in 15 minutes in the life raft. When I did it, they actually used the crane as like a helicopter and lifted us out.
I've seen that.
It's not needed now, unfortunately, so they've taken some of the fun out of it.
Oh dear.
But it's also the time factor. If you're taking 6 people out and you've got 3 of those in, it's going to, and that's the importance. But the temperature of water can be made, on the whole, 6, probably is now, nearly 6, or up to, if you're lucky, maybe 16.
Right.
Typical to British waters. Fantastic facility. If the red light had been on, I couldn't have brought you in because it would mean probably the Ministry of Defence were in.
Right.
When we've signed the document that it had, and of course because of being military, we wouldn't be allowed to bring you in.
Right.
Or it might be a private company, and that way it's bringing in income.
Right. Okay.
6 months after I'd started doing the job, tours, nobody told me that the Marines were in.
Oh God.
And I come up, open the door, total darkness, this 6-foot guy with a submachine, get out.
Oh God.
I did get out. But nobody had told me, and they hadn't put the red light on.
Oh dear.
Now, unfortunately, the Marines are being moved to Hereford. Parliament in its wisdom. But we do have the SBS boats that still... sometimes we have the Special Police Force as well make use of the pool.
Right.
Right. We will go on now to the live engine workshop.
Okay. There's the outboard.
Go down the stairs.
Down the stairs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait for the game.
I will.
Yes, this is where the wave machine is, in here, and the cleansing tanks. I don't know if you might be able to...
Yeah, let's get that. Very interesting.
Oh, it's a bit warmer in
Oh
here.
yeah, warmer
Yeah.
Warmer there.
There's a water machine there if you want, and there's a toilet facility just here if
Okay.
you need. Yeah.
I'm fine, thank you.
You can see the old training centre.
Yeah, is that when they started doing the all-weather centre for
Yeah,
all-weather
that's
boats?
where now they've
Yeah,
built,
yeah.
We had to, I'll wait till everybody's here and then I can talk through them, yeah.
Yeah.
As you can see, 2013.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, after we've been into the engine workshop, we'll go across the road to the training centre.
Okay.
The now new one. We knocked the old building down, rebuilt because we needed now to build the boats here. As a result of that, plus the fact that we do as much as possible to do the repairs or maintenance, that's saving us about £3 million a year.
Wow.
We had to raise that by 1.4 metres to meet Pool's flood defences. Just over 500 tonnes of backfill. Council, you know, all these lorries with it. No. Jenkins, the dredgers, just down by the old bridge, dredged the harbour, and we got it precisely right. I think it's 280 25-metre piles under there as well.
Yeah.
We were able to extend it another 4.5 metres out, which, as I say, is fantastic. All centralised now. The building across the road, with R&LI, the grey one, that, well, when we used to call it headquarters, moved from Bornham Wood in the 70s. Now it's defunct because of the type of concrete and also asbestos.
Right.
So at the moment we're not sure what's going to happen there, whether they'll keep it, knock it down and do something, or sell it off, because now we've concentrated
On this area
here.
now.
In the Bill Knox place just across there, at one time all our computer systems were in there where they would do the repairs, or the guys would go out to the stations and deal with them there. We also send trainers out sometimes to the stations, and in that way one person keeps the cost down, can deal with 30 people at one go rather than 8 coming and in the cost of that. So this section now we're going into where the live engine workshop is.
Okay.
Here you can see where some of the guys have done training. If you just come into there.
Yeah, sure.
There is a seat just in there if you'd like to just sit down for a moment, just inside there.
You sit down there.
Hydraulics. As I say, we'll be here for a little moment, so just rest your legs for a moment, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very, very expensive training hydraulic machines. German, but it means that either one of those can be computerized either as a Shannon, a Seddon, a Tamar, a Trent, or a Mersey.
Right.
From my experience over the years, I find that most folks learn 60% of their learning by actually doing. Yeah, 40% theory. I've come across people who've done probably 70% theory and are not capable of doing the practical. On the other hand, I've come across people who've had so much experience, but they can't always make sense of, yeah, you've got to get that balance. what we do is the guys come, you've decided, you've joined the boat, you become a crew member, and after a while you think, well, I know a little bit about mechanics, I think I'd like to become a mechanic. Stations operation manager and the coxswain will say, right, Fred, take him under your wing because you're the experienced one, so you start learning on site. Then when it's convenient, you then come here. You come in to do about hydraulics. We don't sit you in the tutor room and go all through the theory. Right, you're a Shannon, that's a Shannon. Right, the hydraulics on this particular section of the Shannon should be 20 psi, it's showing 15. Sort it out, work it, fix it. Yeah? Then the next time you come, you'll have a bit more of the theory then, but you've got the practical to start linking with the theory. Yeah? So, and then yours might be a class 7, so I do the same on that. And again, just before COVID struck, there's a lot of companies in the area that deal with hydraulics, and they would love one of these machines. And they used to buy time from us.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But sadly, COVID has done a mess up with a lot of things. It's not just, I think everybody's lives been really affected by COVID, and same with business. Now I think we've got to just accept it. It's going to be like flu. You know, there's, however much you try to fight against it, it's there and it mutates. Right, we'll come through now to the line engine workshop. Look at the electronics on there and look what the Mersey looked like.
Blimey, yeah. So that's to make a Mersey, is it?
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We've got training going on.
Okay. Yeah.
Hi there. Each of these, all the 8 types of engines we've got in our vessels are here. The mechanics come, are able to strip them down, refix them. I mentioned the Class 7 lifeboat. Caterpillar, fantastic engine, brilliant for lorries, brilliant for trains, good on the boat. But once I reach a force 6, this is 1,000 horsepower, and I'm struggling, anything from 6 onward. So now we're taking these out and over to the German model over there, which is more aluminiumised engine, lighter. That is 2,000 horsepower, or equivalent to 1,800. So that should be able to do 25 knots in a force 10. That would probably end up going down to probably 6 or 7 knots because of like a 7-8 horsepower car trying to go up Porlock Hill. So engine workshop here. That technology over there, the company that designed it gave us that to try out. It's computerized. It can often work out a lot of the problems and resolve the problems because after a while they said, right, you can keep it. So you can imagine the cost of that. And they kindly donated that to us because we experimented with it and was able to. Hello there, Keith. Any awkward question, Keith is the guy to ask, but he's going to turn away and. Right. Now, Shannon, water jet propelled. Scandinavia was the only company that was prepared to take a land engine and totally remodify it for water, which meant we got it at cost price. Now that they've resolved it, we're hoping they will still do it at cost price. But this item here sits on here. Water is sucked up through here, comes out through there. This is only up because it's in here, but that is on hydraulic, so that drops down and you can twist, turn, and if I want to reverse out, that goes like that, and I can reverse out. With this type of engine, it's just a case of straightforward and reverse. With the others, you've got to slightly change here. It also means if I'm coming to rescue you, I can glide up to you. With that, it's jerky. Yeah, that will go just like that. 3/4 of a ton of water per second out of that. Yeah, that's fantastic. So, as I say, fire them up. There's the exhaust, as you can see, going outside. Again, the electronics, these guys are told there is a problem, fix it, work it out. Yeah. Now, to get your marine certificate, full marine certificate, you have to do a two-stroke engine. Two-stroke engine over there that used to be in Tyne and Mersey. We don't have them now, but that's an ex-Sherman tank engine. After the war, there were loads, and in America there's over 200,000 in lorries, boats and trains. So our guys have to know how to do a two-stroke engine to get the full certificate. Fantastic facility, as you can see, for training. Okay, if we move on now, and we'll leave the gents to get on with their work.
Ensure all three circuits are good.
That was the Trent class engine. Just wait. Yep. What we're going to do is we'll go to reception. I need to put fluorescent jackets on to you, and we'll go across to the all-weather lifeboat. And this section here is where the three composites are baked at a temperature of 80 degrees to create the hull and the wheelhouse, etc. They're also painted here. They're then taken over to section B, where all the innards are put, which you'll be able to see. Nice and pleasant now.
It is, yeah.
You've got washing, put it in there, it'll be dry in 2 minutes.
Wow.
Oh, there.
So I'm looking that way.
Oh no, you're good. Okay. All the bays used to be used for building the Shannon, and as you can see here where the Shannon is. Amazing. I'll turn off. Wells.
I was generally wrongly observed this year.
Yeah, there is the negative.
Yeah.
And,
Absolutely.
yeah.